And we are live. Hello everyone, Derpy here, and welcome back with another Battle Pirates raid stream. Today I'm going to be checking out the Powder Keg raid and going through the raid warm-up. I'm going to be hitting most of the targets, all of the new targets in this raid, so stay tuned. If you're watching this back later on YouTube, welcome, and feel free to jump around to wherever you want. For those of you watching live, hello in chat, and let's go ahead and get started here. So this is the second siege raid in the cycle. It is October 14th, 2020, and we're going to get started. These bottom targets, the 60 and the 62, should be the exact same as they were last raid, and as they're old targets, I'm not going to hit them. I'm going to instead move on to the new things, the 84, the 86, and the 809. They are at least new in terms of not having them last raid. They're likely repeated old targets. The 134, 136 are probably 100% brand new, as is the 910 target. So let's go ahead and take our fleets out, see what we can get, and if targets have even spawned on the map. Starting first with the Mutineers, and I'm going to use my own X1 fleet as opposed to the free Kixeye fleet that is available, just because I find that mine works better. Again, it's all X1 and it has my build, so it's probably twice as good as the regular one. You could figure something like that. Going to make sure I have the right ships in the right places with the specific armors in the right spots and get started here. I'm not going to put on a crew here, so let's see what happens. Looks like I've got excellent connection. All my stream indicators are showing up bright green, which is great. Let's see if there are targets for me to hit, because that'd be pretty disappointing if they weren't. Okay, things look to be all spawning here. They didn't lose the bottom auto target again like they did last time, so that's a good sign. Already starting off better than last raid. Okay, locator's not too bad here. It takes me out to an 84 that's fairly close, maybe one closer, but this one works perfectly well enough. And I'm going to guess that this is the auto target from raid number 2 in the Mutineer cycle, at least if any sort of patterns are holding true. And let's see, we could probably go ahead and turn off that other watermark there. I'm going to be going through the Mutineer targets and then the Claudius targets, so I will be hitting the new things here, and the total end time should be under an hour for this thing. Probably even hit it a few times, maybe coin a repair or two, don't tell anybody. Okay, this does look like it is the auto target, so let's go ahead and see what results we get out of this thing. This one should not be that bad at all. Let me go ahead and zoom in actually. This first one you're going to take down in range of the ammo carrier just on auto, so you don't really need to do anything here, and no drones or anything will spawn and be close enough to kill you, so that's great. And this second, this first ammo carrier does go down with relatively little trouble. Next up, we have another of these, I forget what these are called, Jug X here, and I'm going to blast that with 1 or 2 shots, and it should go down fairly easily here. A little bit of a driving mess up, but that's about average, I would say. We do have a couple of other ammo carriers. I'm going to do my best to avoid those and go directly for these large ships. Let's put ship 5 in front because it is designed a little bit more of a tank, and then shoot this thing while I'm in the range of about 2 different ammo carriers. That does really well here. Move all the way around, don't go inside the cloud, because as I say with those, you'll be sad, and you shouldn't be sad, and kill the other ammo carrier, or kill the other Juggernaut X here. There is the end of that target. It's really not a challenging one. You just blast through a couple. If you don't have X1, it will be significantly more challenging for you. Your damage per second is probably about half. Your actual survival effective damage taken is about half. So you're going to take twice as much damage and do about half as much, so it's going to be worse for you, but it should be a pretty easy target. If you do have a Mutineer fleet, putting this thing on auto for the level 84 target is not a bad thing to go for whatsoever. What I see here is a very doable target with an X1 fleet. With a U0 fleet on auto, the free one you should all have, well, it's also going to be pretty good as well. Thoughts on that one are pretty good. I mean, it's not a bad target. They recycled one that worked before, so it will work again. Damage taken was 100% concussive, and out of the total incoming damage, I took 3% of it, resisted 22%, and evaded or countermeasured 75%. 7 minutes damage, so not quite instant on map, but close enough that we can go in base and repair to go ahead to go to the level 86. First one there, not bad whatsoever, but again, I do have a full X1 fleet. If you have a U0 fleet, you are going to do significantly, or at least much worse. Probably not auto on map with the free fleet, but you shouldn't really expect that. The payout there is fairly low. You get very few points for the amount of damage you're taking, and it isn't any easier than it was before. You do get 100,000 points for that. So not an insignificant amount, but it's not negligible either. So there you go. One out of the way and a few more to get down. Let's take a few ships out here, do some repairs, and yes, I did go into the raid with repairs. My Everest fleet is still repairing from the TLC. I procrastinated on that one quite a bit. Put another few ships in repair queue here, and we're good to go. Notice I'm using no crew. If you were to use a crew with the Mutineers, I would suggest something like the Steelheads or the Sea Serpents. Both of those seem to help out in a large majority of cases. Let's find a level 86 and hit the next target. Very nice one right here, and you know if I took the locator, it would have taken me 20-30 seconds away. Okay, again, this target probably matters where you enter from, and it is one that we should have seen before. The load-in time is 60 seconds, which is fantastic, and it looks like I'm going to want to retreat and come in directly south because that worked best when this was an actual raid target here. Again, this looks like to be the skill target from the second Mutineer raid if I am remembering everything correctly. So what I should do is just play a replay of me hitting that target for instant repair with like a U2 fleet or something. Anyway. Let's go back in at about 6 o'clock, and the idea for these types of targets, at least the skill version, is to take out the battle cruisers first because the battle cruisers are the hardest thing here. So let's zoom in and find one of those things. And now we want to get to this one right here and approach a little bit from the right so you don't do too much damage to everything else and it doesn't run off because it will run away from you. And if you do not slow it with your black spot effect, it's going to, get quite the ways away from you here. So let's slow this thing down. Perfect. Now we're going to go towards these Typhoons. Sometimes one of these Typhoons is another battle cruiser or is another ammo carrier rather. I'm going to kill this ammo carrier right here so I can go towards the battle cruiser and kill this one. Once these two battle cruisers are dead, you can shift your attention to the Typhoons. If you are able, try to be in range of an ammo carrier. It looks like I'm not quite in range here or I'm just about in range, so I got some support from this one. Killing this next Typhoon, I'm going to dance around the circles. Looks like I went through one a little bit here. Not too big of a deal, and target this next one. Use your black spot if you are all able. With the next one fleet, it goes down very, very rapidly. Without, you are for sure going to take more damage, but nothing I can really do about that. The path is essentially the same for U0 and an X1 fleet. I'm using the ammo carrier support ships, even though I do have my Merciless Mutineer flagship up to X1, so I really wouldn't need to as much. Again, going to try and finish off here with the fleet stacked because you do get bonuses. At this point, you're probably able to auto except for these clouds here. You might go into one of them if you're not too careful. So the first two Mutineer targets look like they're not that bad. They're exact repeats of old targets that worked. I do not like if this 86 target is indeed random. I don't really like the randomness in the targets themselves. It makes it hard to get accustomed to them. And if you do hit a layout that you like, you can always retreat, go back into a different target, that one that does have a layout that you do like. Thoughts on this target? Like I said, not a bad one. It's an exact replica of one that worked fairly well. I just wish it wasn't a sort of random target with one configuration, one ship being potentially harder or easier. There we go. Not really a bad result. I did take a lot of damage on this one. I probably messed up and charged through a cloud here at the very end. So there is a little bit of you can mess up, you can take damage when you're not paying attention. I do actually find the clouds to be a little bit less well defined on HTML5 as in Flash, although I haven't really played in Flash for a long time here. Yeah, I definitely went through a cloud here, so probably took an hour damage on that cloud. 32 minutes, so there we go. I'm not going to bother repairing that one. I'm going to go directly into an 809 and enter about the left side here if it's the one I think it is. 32 minutes, 14 seconds damage on that one, going in directly to the 809, again, still not using a crew. So the old targets don't look bad. If you do well, they're instant repair with an X1. If you don't do well or don't have an X1, you still have a U3, U2, U1, U0. It's not a bad target. It just isn't particularly fun if you're hitting a few dozen, I don't know how many 100 dozen. Okay, this one right here, I'm going to go ahead, it was the one I was expecting it to go on the left side, and your idea is that these battle cruisers will slowly become unsharded as the battle increases, so you want to try and kill them as the battle goes through, and you want to kill them as they unshroud, essentially. If you can avoid taking down these ammo carriers as the battle goes on, then you should try and do that. If you do have to, you get too close to one, oh well, you're going to take this thing down, you're going to shoot at it. I'm going to drive by this one, try not to hit it with my special ability, and try to not stay with it too long there. Again, try to engage the battle cruisers from the front, the healer ships from the front, so that you can slow them down exactly like this right here, and you'll have the best results there. There's another juggernaut coming at me right here. I'm going to try to avoid this one and be supported by a couple ammo carriers when I'm killing it, and try to not go into a cloud because they are pretty painful here. At this point, a few of these ships should start unshrouding at the 14-minute mark. Let's see, here we go, the one on the bottom left. I'm going to go for the one on the top right here that unshrouds, and to get to it, I have to kill through an ammo carrier here, and maybe another one of these, the battle cruisers, will unshroud at the 13-minute mark, and I can kill them that way. If you do just kill the Typhoon healer ships, the battle will end, which is probably the best, if you kill the ammo carrier ships, the battle will end, which is probably the best way to do this. So if you just want the set bonus, you can spend 5 minutes on the target, less than that, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, killing these ships right here with the little draconian priority symbols on them. That will end the battle early, and you'll finish without having to deal with any of the healer ships or the Typhoons or anything like that. And you should be able to get that done for around about instant repair. At this point, at the 13-minute mark, I know that the ship on the left here, the ship at the right here are going to unshroud, as well as one of these two probably at the 12-minute mark. So I'm going to let them do that here, and there we go. Again, in range, so I'm supported by the ammo carrier guessing, but I'm not far enough away that I'm not too close to kill it. I'm not far enough away, I'm out of range. So this one, not very bad. Now, like I said, you probably don't need to do this in the target. If at this point I did just kill, and even earlier, ignore the battle cruisers completely, just kill the Typhoons and these ammo carriers, the battle would end. That's probably the best way to go about this target if you want the points for this one. I don't really like what Kixeye has done with the set bonus here again. The 86, 84, and the 809 are all part of the same set bonus at 100,000. Whereas the points are actually pretty low, so you really don't get that much benefit out of actually hitting this target. You can do it, and you can co-op this one, so I should have someone else in the corner here hitting the target, even just inside here. The problem is, if someone tries to join a co-op target like this, they do tend to take quite a lot of damage on load-in because the battle starts about instantly for them. So it is pretty difficult to co-op this one if someone has a slower connection, which is always frustrating. So okay, we have a runaway, we have an escapee right here. Try and take this one down. If you don't have the black spot right here, it could be difficult. Or the yeah, it is called the black spot, which is the weapon, not the crew. The crew that was last special event is really not supposed to work in anything anymore. It was just for that one event. I have someone saying he's going to test it, but I don't think it will do anything. It will only be effective inside this event. Okay, slowing down the last battlecruiser there, and now we can start hitting the Typhoons because all the battlecruisers are dead. You have to kill those healer ships before you can do any serious damage to these things that aren't healed, so there you go. If I can get in range, again supported by an ammo carrier, that's what you have to go for. Okay, gonna kill the other ammo carrier here because there's nothing around. It's useless at this point. Just make sure when you kill the last one, that's the last ship in the target if you do want the full points. Yeah, the black spot crew really won't be effective, and I actually don't remember what sector I'm in, but it's in alpha somewhere. So one of the first 20. Okay, I'm not actually in range of the ammo carrier here, but the thing gets killed fast enough, at least with my fleet, my upgrades, that I don't have to be. If you don't have X1, you might need to rely a little bit more on the ammo carriers here. Try to avoid those little golden rings. I might have just gone through one there. I can't quite tell. Okay, we have two things left here, and then the other ship. If I kill the ship, the target ends, but I want to hit the entire thing here. It does look like the Typhoons, their nav rays off a little bit. That should be right at the top of the ship, shouldn't it? Let's go directly from the side. It's always best to approach these things from the side as well because the drones spawn right where it is, so it won't be moving towards you. It won't have a chance for the drones to spawn too close to start shooting at you right as you kill it, or right as they spawn rather. Okay, it's quite a journey here to this last ship, this last Typhoon. My thoughts on the target is I don't like this one. I wish they didn't have it in the event. I wish they just had it, or even if they do include it, have it separate from the 84 and 86. I don't think there's a great reason for having all three of them in there. It just seems to be they've done it because they've always done it that way. It's probably time to look at changing that system around a little bit. It's frustrating to have to hit a target here, but if you are going to hit it, if you do want the set bonus, because you can always just auto 84s and call it a day. If you do want the set bonus from the A sets, you can just go ahead and kill the whatever these ships are called, ammo carriers, and call that a day. So it's not that big of a deal. You just go through the path, start the one I originally came in, come in directly on the left side at 9 o'clock, and loop forward, killing only these things right here. That would finish the target and get very, very few points, probably 20, 30,000 out of the 250,000 available. So it's going to get a pretty low payout here, but it will allow you to get the set bonus. I would only do this target, only do that approach if you're already hitting the 84 and the 86. Otherwise, just stick to the 84 and auto. That's about all there is for the A set. Auto the 84. That's my advice right there. Damage taken is some concussive and explosive. If you see explosive, it generally means that you messed up. So just be warned about that. There we go. One set. I got all the points because I did the entire target, and I have 450,000 points. Well, that's enough of the old stuff. Let's break out the Gladius and go hit some new things. And unfortunately, I did some poor planning. I have a Gladius still upgrading. It's got about 2 hours left, maybe 2.5 hours left. So I'm going to give it 4 coins. These are going to be the only 4 or 5 coins. Yep, only 4 coins I've spent on my Gladius fleet in terms of building upgrades the entire time here. I'm going to spend 4 coins on finishing this upgrade. So there we go. I'm officially a coiner. I spent coins on my Gladius fleet. And yeah, I've got enough to spare. Let's stick that one back in there. You can see that I do have a few tokens left over, which I will hopefully use from some of this raid to get it up to X1 as probably the second thing I do buy. Let's see, Gladius upgrade tokens, I have 3 of them. And I have 1 ship that's still hanging out at U2, so hopefully this one can be upgraded a little bit. You can see it does take 4 days to get up, 4 and a little bit days to get up to U3, so I'll hopefully be doing that later. The raid store should hopefully have some of the Gladius upgrade tokens in there. So I'm going to see what I have there and see how many are potentially offered if I can get it up to X1. Hopefully there are 10 of them in there. There's 2, really. That is not a whole lot. That's disappointing. But the first thing that anyone should buy, at least in this raid in my opinion, is the Photon ECM. Get this thing, build 4 blanks. That's the basic advice there. 4 million points, get this, build 4 blanks, start today if at all possible. But to do this thing, you probably need to hit like 10 sets of the ones I just did, or your Gladius fleet. And let's go ahead and go over my build really quickly. This is my standard build I have across most of the ships here. It's got all the weapons and then the Scorpio heavy railgun, which helps. 1 of each armor. You could make an argument for 2 ballistic. Probably not too radioactive. In terms of specials, I do have the Stone Cold Speed Engine, the Mass Moment Stabilizer as my range special, Ballistic Battery 2 as my extra damage special, High Velocity Rounds as my ballistic and building damage special, Fast Feed Magazine as my reload special, and then Welded Barrel System as my extra special. I have seen several people using Hyper 30 instead of this last one here. The only difference on any of my ships is that my flagship, instead of having fast feed, it has Guidance Score number 3. I took out the lowest special that didn't impact any sort of speed to go with that one. There's my Gladius fleet, and I do believe I have the hash codes for that in the description for this live stream. At least all my other videos do. Let's go ahead and start my Mutiny Repair fleet. Took about 20 minutes damage on that one, by the way, and get started. Okay, so we're going to want to hit level 134 target first, is that right? There's the 136, the 910, and probably, yep, a 134 right next to it. This one should be the auto target, and it shouldn't matter where you come in from, and you can still bring punishers into this, baby. So stay tuned, I'm going to be hitting this with punishers and seeing what the damage is. In the past raid, it was harder than Gladius, was less consistent, but it was doable for fairly low repair with a Punisher Mark II fleet, so it might still be doable for this time. Okay, target is pretty large here. Let's park in the corner and look around. So we do have a few of these silos again. The idea is to use these to chain off of each other and make a big explosion so the target's way easier to go through. That was a pretty good result in the past here. So you can explode the core right here from the center, it looks like. If I get in range of this small silo right here, it should be able to chain off this one, hit the big one, which will do damage to everything here around the target here. Might not get some of these on the outside, we'll have to see about that. And the right side of the target's about empty here, so it looks about like this. I don't really have two choices actually. I have to go straight through the center, so that's going to be pretty damaging. I'm going to try and approach it, let's see. Gonna go play around with these mountains at the top here and see what I can get done with these. Now I do luckily have the X1 mains Gladius, so I do have the little aura here. Okay, so I'm trying to block mountains, and I can't really do much damage to anything at this point. I can't hide right about here. Okay, you can reach that phlogiston from behind the mountains, and that's about it. Maybe I can reach this next one. That's not worth it. Okay, let's get into the minimum range here. Nice. Okay, now I'm going to try and sneak around and kill the silo. He should be out of range of these things anyway. And, that guy fires. That's rude. Okay, you saw the silo here, did a chain, took down about half the target, which is great. Let's try and get another chain here off on the right side and kill the phlogiston. Nice, perfect. So this target, a lot of it goes down with the chain here. That's really interesting. A lot of this splash damage probably shouldn't have taken, and this target is fast. You know, it's pretty much already dead. There's just these two on the top left. Well, damage taken here is not horrible, probably more ballistic than radioactive, and total results is 12 minutes of repair time. Well, I was not expecting that. This target looks pretty dang easy, at least for an X1 fleet. 12 minutes of repair time on the first hit. This is going to come down to map repair pretty easily. Okay then. And you didn't quite get 250,000, I got 223,000 because I didn't do all the damage to the target, some of those silos and buildings did. So if you can do this thing for 12 minutes damage, that's fantastic. I'm going to have to try autoing that and see what kind of stuff I get. Overall thoughts on that target is it's interesting, maybe even seems a little bit too simple. What do y'all think about that one? I mean, you saw my results. Do you think you're going to be able to replicate them? What about if you didn't have an X1 fleet? Would you still get the same results? I mean, the driving isn't too different. There's just that first phlogiston I was able to take out there that you wouldn't have been able to, at least if you don't have the X1 upgrades on one of your ships. And it might even have to try just one ship by itself. Interesting. Well, let's go ahead and see what we're getting here. I'm gonna hit the 136. I'll come back to that target. I'll auto the thing. It does look really easy. That was a very, very cheap repair. Yeah, I might play around with a few different types of, if one ship does better, I might try 2 ships and 3 ships. I don't know if that will be a thing I'll do right now live. I might have time to do that, but we'll see. Let's see here. This is the 136. It should matter where you enter from, so I might have to retreat and pick a better angle to go into this one. I'll try and pause out front at the start here. So I entered on the top right. Okay, you have a few ballistas in this target, one on the right pointing to the left, one on the bottom left pointing to the left here. So you probably want to approach this target from spinning clockwise, except there's a few ballistas on the interior too. So somehow you have to get this big building right at the front to explode here. And how are you going to do that? Looks like I can chain off this one of these two, and that should chain across the entire thing, or on the left, that should chain off. You might have multiple different entries you can come in from. I'm going to start out where I am right now, move in next to this ballista, kill this thing right here, and try and take down... I'll move off to the right a little bit. Try and take down this right here before the harpoon can get me. Because the idea here is to, hit this one, use mountains to block the harpoon, chain off a couple of these things, and explode the whole center of the target. Okay, here we go. Oh, that didn't quite get it. And there's a little hidden thrower there I didn't notice. That's unfortunate. Okay, but no ballistas have shot at me yet, which is the important bit, I would say. Okay, right here, you have to get close to this thing. Hit it with your fuse lighter throwers right now. Oh, need to get closer. Right there. And then turn around and run. Turn around and run. Oh, I'm going to get damaged. There we go. I got damaged. So it'd be better to send 1 or 2 ships here. I'd probably send 3 ships there to get the fuse lighters off so you have time to get out of the way. But you did see a huge chunk of the target went down there. But unfortunately, you couldn't trigger it from the very outside of the target here. It's always interesting to try and see what approach the devs want you to take to hitting this thing. Okay, I should be using the mountains right here to block these, but I'm already in the minimum range. I'm already really close here. A few others, try and avoid getting right too close to these short-range throwers. They do a lot of damage here. Okay, now we're going to loop across to the inside. Make sure to avoid the ballistas. If you get hit by one of these, that's like a 1 coin every shot, basically. And another phlogiston. Okay, that target was significantly more challenging. That was a quarter of my fleet in damage. Well, yeah, at this point right now, it seems like you might want to forget about the 136, just hit the 134, maybe on auto. That was a pretty substantial amount of damage. It was my first attempt. It should get easier over time. 3 coins. I'm going to go ahead and click that button and do that. There we go. Well, thoughts on that target is it's a challenging first target. The evident path to me isn't quite clear. It did take a while to figure out the last one. Last raid probably took a few hours to figure it out. So it's going to take about that time too for the 2 skill targets here. But if you all want to hit the auto target instead of that one while other people figure out the 136 and 910, you can do that if you want to. Yeah, the middle silo did do a whole bunch of damage there. If I did drive better and I used like 2 ships to trigger that, the damage would have been closer to 30 minutes, I'll bet. So I might have to come back to that one. I should try punishers in these targets. You're right about that. See if they still work fairly well. Okay, this is the 910. Again, this one, it probably does matter where you enter from. And this thing's pretty big. I really don't know what I'm looking at here. These targets tend to have low contrast in their turrets. Okay. Don't go right here in the center. You'll be very sad. Let's see. So how do I kill these things easily? Do I set off the big explosions? Let's start with exploding one of these. I'm gonna send 3 ships in here to kill this one. Hopefully that's a little bit easier. And I'm gonna get close, and as soon as I get close, I'm in range of a ballista. Come on. I got close. I was there. Okay. That's a mistake. That's a pretty costly mistake. I hope 3 ships was enough. Okay. This took out that big platform. That was underwhelming. So I was messing up there. I was hitting the, getting shot at by a couple ballistas I didn't realize were pointing at me. Was there another one off on this right here that was shooting at me? I think there was, but I can't see it. I can't go there. Kixeye, what is your target? Ah. They have to show a warning range before they shoot. I'm trying to find a spot that's not covered by ballistas. I can't even reach it there. Oh, I'm so in range. I'm getting shot at by about 7 different turrets right now. Okay, let's go close here. I didn't even trigger this. You have to get right next to it. Oh, that hurts. That hurts a lot. Well, that center one did a fair amount of damage. Uh-oh, no. Don't go in there. Oh. Can I come around the center? Not really. Not even there. Where am I supposed to go in this target? Okay, you can use the mountains to block there if you have X1. Oh, come on. I can't even see where they're going to shoot me at. There's no safe spot in the entire target. There's no safe spot in this. You can't go through to the bottom. You can't get through. These ones are blocking the left path. These ones are blocking the right path. You have ones blocking the center. You're getting hit with ballistas whether you like it or not in this target. This isn't a skill target. This isn't a co-op skill target. This is a you're gonna take damage because we want you to target. Pricey event, what issues are you seeing? The issue I'm seeing is this thing isn't designed for you to be able to do for low repair at all. You're taking guaranteed damage with ballistas, whether you like it or not. That's the issue I'm seeing in this target. Yeah, you know, my driving is not very good in this thing. I'm taking a lot of damage because I don't know how they want us to do it, and you're forced to run into ballistas. You should see my driving in the 134 when I auto it. It's my auto skills way better. Okay, I guess the center path is the least damaging. I'm sort of driving stack too because I don't have a tank. I mean, I have a tank. It's too difficult to use, at least this first time here. Oh, there's another ballista. There's no warning. There's nothing. That they look like all the other turrets. I can't tell what they look like. This is a hard target. Okay. Here we go. Another couple shots off. This might do some damage. There we go. I got out. If you want the maximum points, you should probably kill these turrets first before you hit those silo things. But I mean, I guess this pays out like 1,000,000 points, right? I probably should have killed that big building there too for more points. This is difficult here. We're gonna go back to 134. You know, you have guaranteed damage from ballistas. This is not a skill target. Unless someone else has seen something I'm missing. Maybe this is a hit it before you go to sleep target. Okay, try and use a ship as a tank. If, you know, my flagship, I try to do that. It seems to work better. Oh. Well, that's just mean. Okay, it ended. You don't need to kill the silos for it to end. There you go, 910 target. Painful as hell, guaranteed damage. A whole bunch of damage from ballistas there. Well, 750,000, and they told you it's 1,000,000, so it's a bit lower. Because again, you're not doing all the damage. That hurts. That hurts quite a bit. I don't like this target. It's mean. I guess I should hit the 134th Punishers now, right? Well, yeah, my fleet's not quite full EX1. It is really close here. It's like, it's one ship off, so it's basically an X1 fleet. This event is running right now in the in Alpha World. Every world later, so if you're in Sector 21, you start in 22 minutes. Add on an hour per start time to world. Let's find a 134. I'm really curious to see how well these things do. I mean, they did pretty well last time in those targets, but this one, I can't tell how well it's going to perform. Well, I should put on some skins for my Gladius. I hadn't done that. That's the most important part, right? Yeah, if you're an 88, 89, you're going to be starting the last hour, so that's going to be, what, 4 hours after event start? Okay, 134 with Punishers. Take one. Okay, here we go. So the idea for this thing, again, it enters you in that top area. Use the mountains to snipe out or block enemy things and take down the things that are actually shooting at you. So this phlogiston launcher, for example, is a priority here because it can shoot over the mountains. But all of these different other harpoons are blocked by the turrets. So at this spot right here, these harpoons are all being blocked, whereas I'm shooting at the phlogiston and it is also shooting at me. It was difficult to get here. It looks like this one's just catching the corner of this mountain, but I'm safe right here. I can spend a while and kill these things. Let me turn on projectile effects to make sure I'm actually getting a shockwave. Okay, they are still shockwaving. The turret apparently isn't unreactive, which is what I thought they would do to make this method not work. But this method is still sort of working. Okay, this particular harpoon looks like you're going to have to take some damage from it. It did splash damage to try and stick one ship out a little bit ahead of everything else. That might help out a little bit there for you. And, you know, stay here, shoot at it, get in minimum range actually if possible. So right here, I'm close enough, it doesn't shoot at me. That's probably where I wanted to be the entire time. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and shoot at one of these things, these silos, to trigger them and blow up half the target. Would you look at that? At this point, I'm going to have to go towards, let's see, this short range one right here. You can outrange that. And I'm going to get inside the minimum range of this harpoon and target the little silo turrets. This should again make about half the target explode. Perfect. And then the phlogiston needs to go down as well as the harpoon. I can't tell. I don't think you can block this one by mountains. It seems relatively useless there. So let's try instead to get inside the minimum range and do that fairly quickly. And then shift once we're inside the minimum range to targeting the phlogiston. Okay, it looks like this is the last little bit of the target here. We killed these at the beginning, which was the end for the Gladius fleet. And there we go. Not a perfect first hit by any means, but it was doable. It looks like you're going to take a lot more damage with harpoons this time. I think they've just shifted the mountain placement to make them not too good, not too effective. There's 3 or 4 harpoons in here that I couldn't block, and a few phlogiston launchers that are pretty damaging. So you're taking a fair amount of damage here. I think they tested this and made sure that Gladius would perform better. I took 42 minutes damage in there. Could you lower that down a little bit? Probably. Avoid some damage on the back ships. You know, it's possible. It's not nearly as easy, not nearly as good as it was last time, which we all expected, and we actually can still use Punishers, so that's a good thing. What some people were saying, no, Punisher is not going to be possible, but they're letting you in, so you could even use the one older than Punishers. Was that Eradicators, Tier 8, and whatever the Tier 8.5 one was. You could take your strikes into this target if you wanted to. Okay, we're trying to 136. Yeah, Dragoon, that was Tier 8.5. Okay, let's try the 136. And you see how there's almost no mountains anymore? Well, there's still mountains right here. So I can block off this left approach, but I can't really block off many of these things. So it's going to be challenging, a lot more challenging to use Punisher than this one, because they just took all the mountains and deleted them. I mean, if there were mountains in front of these harpoons, way easier to do the target. Okay, let's see what we can do here. And again, I'm inside the minimum range of these guys, so that works out much nicer. Okay, how am I going to get through to these? I'm going to go on the left side here. I should be approaching from a different angle. I should be outside these mountains. I'll get inside their range. Get close. And kill the phlogiston. A little bit closer here. Yeah, now we have the other harpoon firing at me. Snag this one, do some splash damage. Unfortunately, this does not take down the center silos here. And the problem is, I'm not going to be able to kill these center silos with my Punisher fleet. These things only die to the Gladius special weapon. I can't trigger these silos in any way. They're going to do damage to me. I'm just sitting right in the center of the target getting smacked. I should be hiding around the outside. But there's the ballistas around there, so you really can't. Yeah, they definitely want you using the Gladius here. You can shoot over mountains, that's the Punisher's one and only benefit, but there really aren't a large number of mountains in this target that can be used effectively. I mean, these things right here are, but there's none to block these ones in the center. These silos don't reach enough to set off these large ones. I mean, you can't do it. I can shoot at this all day. It's never going to explode. I physically can't damage it. You have to kill the ballistas first to get through. Yeah, they don't want you hitting this target. I mean, you can do it with Punishers. I'm doing it right now, but your DPS is so much lower. There we go. I'm inside a silo. I don't know if I'll make it through to the end. I should be on the outside again, blocking some of these things, and the Phlogistons are still here, so they're still going to shoot you regardless of the mountains. You do not need to kill these large silos. Not sure about the small ones, but the large ones for sure you don't need to kill. So you probably don't need to kill the small ones either. Yeah, right here this is guaranteed damage. Phlogiston, Harpoon by itself. You can't block this one. This one on the left here you could block if you wanted to. Okay, we lost a ship. Now maybe I'm not quite driving the best approach here, but it's nowhere near as easy as before. See here, I want the Phlogiston. Harpoon's being blocked, but I want the Phlogiston. I might be able to finish this. Nope. Well, they designed their target. They took out the mountains. They put invincible silos in the center that only work with the Gladius, so don't try Punishers in the 136. And stay on the outside if you are trying it. It definitely did not work for me. Well, I suppose I've got to come back with my Gladius fleet and finish that one off. I guess the last thing I'll do, I'll finish up these two partially dead targets, and then, or just one of them. Then I'll coin the Gladius fleet, hit a 134 on auto, see how much damage I take on auto. I'm hoping it's instant repair and base. Should be pretty easy, rate if that's the case. So 134 can be auto with Gladius, and then 136, we should be able to crack it, make it a little bit easier with the Gladius fleet. Don't trigger the big silos. If you're going out the silos, split the ships off a little bit so you don't have all of them focusing at one time. Makes it way easier here. So whenever you have one of those large fuel silos, you want to trigger it. It's possible with 5 ships and get out of the way with no damage to you, but a lot easier if you send 3 ships in, maybe 4 ships, just so you take less damage. Okay, let's see here. Just finishing this one off. You know, you can't let points here go to waste. And number 1 prize you should get, by the way, is the new Photon ECM. Get that one, build 4 blanks. If you can, pick up whatever tech you're going to be able to put on it, like the special in this raid, for example. But, you know, if you want to start out, just build 4 blanks. Start them today if possible. I'll try and get mine done. It's a really high build time for that one, so you're already starting out a little bit behind. Just be warned about that one. It's a higher build time than it has been in the past. It's like 5.5 days. It's 5.5 days for one ship, so it's gonna hurt. Okay, I triggered that one. I'm gonna take damage from this one. Ah, that's an idiot move. I didn't even have to kill that one. Okay, well, we'll spend the coins, auto 134, and call that the end. Thanks for the good luck. I'll need it. 4 coins, that's not bad. So what, I spent 11 coins this stream. Let's find a 134, hit this thing on auto, watch it, and see if I noticed anything that it does that I'm not. Maybe it even does better than I do. Should be a good experiment. Oh yeah, 910. 910's a pretty awful target. It's guaranteed damage. We love guaranteed damage. No, we don't. But hey, I might even just auto 100 134s. And remember, the baseline here, first target was 12 minutes, so that's the time to beat here, or at least match or come close to. So one ship wants to do something a little bit different, that's fine. They can be different if they want to. Just gonna go directly for this harpoon, stand stacked, stack up a little bit better here, shoot this in 1 or 2 volleys, and then try and go towards the center of the target. I don't know why he wants to go towards the center. He's going for the phlogiston. This point, shift into the short range turret, only gets about a volley off, dodges out of the way, blows up half the target, goes towards the closer, kills the phlogiston, kills the harpoon, sets off the auto, sets off the explosion, kills another harpoon, goes for the big one. This is pretty much the path I took driving, but it's doing it better than I was. Would you look at that? I bet you this is instant repair and base. Now your exact upgrade, your exact path might vary depending on if you have the heavy weapon with Pierce equipped, if you have the or if you have, say, the upgrades done that eliminate the pathing. So things might go differently for you, but I'd say this is a pretty standard build, very standard build I have here. And I'm hoping this is instant base. That's going to be the easiest raid I've had in forever. Hitter target, instant repair. Boring as hell, but easy. 15 minutes damage. Okay. There you go. Auto the 134, repair. Auto the 134, repair. Do that over and over and over, and there's your raid. Let's talk about, if you want to add on a crew, if you don't have X1, do that. But that's, I have to figure out the 136 to make a video on it for people who want to do it. But just hit the damn 134. In terms of prizes, get the Photon ECM. Pick up, say, and if you already got an engine from the Pilot, don't get 5 more. You won't need them. Pick up the Wave Pulse Warhead, maybe 10 of the missile. We have some garrison armor in here, which is nice. Penetrative battery is another special. So, get the Photon ECM, then get the Wave Pulse Warheads, and then get potentially 5 penetrative batteries, and either the unlimited missile or all the limited ones, your choice. Start building some blanks there. But get the whole done, get that started. It's a pretty long build time. If you want a sneak peek at my my potential build for that thing, it's looking right about like this one. So this is a reward for staying to the end. Looking something like this. This last special might change, but other than that, it's probably what I'm going to be going for, unless they tell us something like we need sprints instead of missile defense system. And it's a pretty good braid. At least for one target. If you do have fleets to do it, I'll be curious about Cola there. You got your 3 ships. If you're able to do that, I would expect it's possible. You've got forward X1 that's going to do very, very well. Might even be lower than 15 minutes total repair because of splash damage. So you'll have to test that out for sure. And hit the 134. Hope that was helpful. Anyway, this is Derpy signing out, helping you be a better pirate.